What is your name?
It has been Andrew Allenback as long as I've had it.
What are some important things that we should know about you?
Librarian, historian, bit of a clothes horse, storyteller. I am roughly exactly who you are looking for.
Do you love Mother's Ruin? Gin?
Gin is an excellent antimalarial, a perfect antidote to what most likely ails you in these tropical climes.
What countries have you visited? And the most memorable thing about them?
Surprisingly few. Canada, of course, my home nation. The United States as well. And the most memorable is not only their similarities, but despite their great proximity, the incredible differences in the cultures between the two.
How competitive is one on a scale of 1 to 10?
Scales. Scales are a difficulty. Scales always weigh to one end. Competition with oneself, on the other hand, easily a 12.
The most embarrassing thing that has ever happened to one?
Oh, I am well aware that when younger, a teenager perhaps, I might have been much more easily embarrassed, but I find that that wanes with age, and at this point I find myself not so easily struck down.
What is the greatest adventure one has ever embarked upon?
Children. Specifically in this particular case, mine own. Trying to raise one to be an excellent human being and make the world better than when I found it.
How punctual is one?
Coming from the township of Sir Sandford Fleming, who does invent and create the time zones to make sure the trains are never again ever able to be on time, I find myself surprisingly punctual because it is always then wherever it is I am.
Have you ever visited Mr. Fogg's establishments?
Only in fiction, I fear.
Have you read Around the World in 80 Days?
Repeatedly. I did make mention of the Jules Verne Fantastical Society, and though it is true we are named after that founding saint, as 'twere, principally for 20,000 Leagues and his veneration of the Cunard Company of Halifax, and of course the starring role of a Canadian, still and despite everything from there to the lighthouse at the end of the world, Around the World in 80 Days, of course.
How interested in the Victorian era are you, on a scale of 1 to 10?
It is history. It is stories. As such, as with any such period in history, easily a 30 or perhaps even a 40.